Welcome to this session where we're going to look at the benefits of gratitude on well-being. We'll look at the current state of gratitude in the workplace, the neurological effects of being grateful, how to increase gratitude, and the results that gratitude may bring you. I hope that from the session you'll take away some useful tips that might make you happier and healthier and more aware of the benefits of living a grateful life. But before we do that, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for attending this session. Traditionally, we'd save that until the end, so I think it's fitting to challenge that and thank you right from the beginning. That way, if I do a really bad job and you leave early, at least you'll still know I appreciate you. More seriously, a key aspect of gratitude that I want to pass on today is to think about someone's intentions and to be grateful simply for good intentions, rather than hanging on to all of your gratitude until there's a final outcome, when you might be disappointed and you might withhold gratitude completely. So what brought us here? My name's David Perks and I'm founder and CEO of the feedback platform Pay Compliment. I came to founding that business from a feeling that workplaces and society in general was becoming increasingly more demanding and increasingly less appreciative of the people they rely upon. Grateful people are different. They recognise that they are better off entirely because of the people around them, and they don't mind saying so. Pay Compliment is my response to those feelings. It's a feedback platform with a positivity bias that aims to reverse the decline in appreciation and refuel the supplies of praise and gratitude, as well as instructive feedback that we get in our lives. In 2014, when researching the market for something like that, I found I was not the only one seeing a need. As it turns out, there was growing sentiment that we were all falling victim to an epidemic of what psychologists have termed gratitude deficit disorder. Zombie workers are rife in workplaces globally. Studies by Gallup and others show that 70 to 80% of the workforce feels disengaged. This stems from a feeling of being underutilized, under-recognized, and undervalued at work. More worryingly, this number has been constant for almost 20 years since the tracking began in 2000. And the lost productivity costs $500 billion annually in the US alone. The lack of any improvement is not for the want of trying. Companies spend up big on employee engagement surveys, employee engagement technology, and employee engagement programs, but it isn't working. Engagement has been focusing on physical well-being by providing health plans, fruit baskets, gym memberships, and ping pong tables, badges and awards, rather than looking into the underlying mental well-being of workers. So it isn't working because those things being offered cure the symptoms, but they don't cure the root causes. The good news is you control your mental state, and you can thrive both because of or in spite of your workplace's culture by creating your own culture around you. For our mental well-being, we need to maximize happy hormones and neurotransmitters and to minimize the ones that cause stress. We want to stimulate serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin and suppress cortisol. Let's look at how gratitude does this. Serotonin. Serotonin is created when you feel significant or important. Loneliness and depression appears when serotonin is absent. Reflecting on significant achievements, such as praising a result of others, or looking back at a past result of your own, produces serotonin. Dopamine is the pleasure transmitter. It causes us to repeat positive experiences. When you get pleasure from being grateful or receiving gratitude, you'll want to repeat that over and over. Oxytocin creates intimacy, trust, and builds healthy relationships. One for home more than at work is to give someone a hug. Interpersonal touch not only raises oxytocin, but reduces cardiovascular stress and improves the immune system. If you're not feeling huggy, then giving a gift raises oxytocin too. In this case, even an intangible gift, such as a kind word, counts for that. On the other hand, we should try to minimize cortisol. According to Robert A. Emmons, professor of psychology at UC Davis, regularly expressing gratitude can result in a 23% reduction in cortisol, which is highly effective in combating stress. Regularity is important. Whilst the chemical effects of writing a note of gratitude can be evident for up to 3 months, as recipients we need 6 times as much positivity as negative emotion for long-term effects to accrue. So, if the science of creating well-being through gratitude is understood, let's look deeper into why gratitude deficit disorder remains prevalent. Digitization has been an ongoing trend since around 2000. We don't get to see the end results of our efforts like in days gone by, and this has stripped away meaning from our work and the inherent gratification that came from that. There's a gratitude gap that's been created for the worker by the decomposition of work into tiny pieces done by many people, and increasingly by remote workers and machines, who are invisible in the background. For the consumer, there's a gratitude gap too. It's been created by interfacing with a screen, where there's less joy and emotional connection. Being thanked by a terminal for your custom or loyalty just doesn't have the same effect as when that comes from another person. There won't be a retreat from the digitization we see, so we need to find ways to fill those gratitude gaps. Let's start with some reflection. Have you ever started a self-service activity, like check-out or check-in, and had difficulty, where you needed to call in some human assistance? What mood were you in when the assistance came? Were you being your best self, completely grateful for the help, or were you frustrated and stressed? Did the frustration with the machine spill over into your tone with the human? You're not alone if it did. The Civility in America report revealed approximately 6 in 10 Americans admit to being uncivil. Meanwhile, in Ireland, 70% of retail workers report facing abuse on a yearly basis, with 10% reporting being abused by customers every day. Imagine if you're that worker and you're constantly under threat. Cortisol levels must be running high. Well, the good news is we can disarm these feelings immediately by opening our conversation with a thank you, that we're grateful to have this person to help us. Both they and ourselves can hit the mental reset button, stimulate some dopamine, and move towards a reward frame of mind for whatever follows on. It's a very effective switch to change our behavior if we can be mindful to open every conversation positively. Another consequence of digital lives is social media use, and the irony that social media is making us antisocial. How can technology that's designed to create positive connections actually work to destroy them? The main reason is the increased opportunity, or almost the expectation, for evaluations and comparisons. Think about the last time you rated and evaluated something, from a restaurant to an Uber driver to a retail store visit. Chances are it was pretty recent, even if it wasn't today. For some, their feeling of importance, the source of their serotonin, comes from publicly criticizing and fueling downward comparison. Those are the haters. For others, their dopamine comes from the flow of approvals through likes, shares, and comments about their highlight reel. These are the show ponies. For the majority, the oxytocin that should come from feeling socially connected simply doesn't, as real-life connections aren't formed, or worse still, are broken due to anxiety and lowered self-esteem of being thrust into both upward and down comparisons online. The truth is, regardless of which type of user we are, social media can rob us of the genuine gratitude we might otherwise pursue, because that gratitude is given unprompted without needing to be in the public eye. It's authentic. Have you ever felt worse about yourself or others after looking at Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat? A 2015 report by the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology finds that not only do Facebook and depressive symptoms go hand in hand, but that making social comparison is the predominant cause. It's something to be very aware of, particularly if you have children, with 20% of boys and 30% of girls reporting overwhelm and anxiety following social media use. What's the antidote to this? Most of us would die from fear of missing out if we cut out social media altogether. Well, it's to control the point of comparison. The only comparison that really matters is comparison of yourself. Compared to before, are you happier, healthier, more fulfilled? We'll be moving on to some ways to make sure you can guarantee that. But before we do, let's first look at excuses for the absence of gratitude. Whilst technology may be the catalyst for gratitude deficit disorder, the root cause for today predates it, and it's 100% human. Excuses. It's a bit late to come up with a definition for gratitude, but let's do it as we look at the excuses people make for not expressing their gratitude to themselves and to others. According to Dr. Lee Waters, author of Strength Switch, gratitude is your capacity to notice and attend to the positive things that happen. Notice and attend. Have you ever thought about expressing gratitude and then not done so? Or do your senior leaders naively say, we pay them, that's all the gratitude they should need, giving themselves permission not to notice and not to attend? Have you worked in environments where showing gratitude is considered a sign of weakness in leaders and not a strength? I don't know anyone who can honestly say they've not experienced one or all of those things. And yet, 93% of workers think gratitude is important, and studies by University of California at Berkeley has shown it can account for as much as 25% of total job satisfaction. How do we remove the failure to notice and attend and begin a gratitude habit? Of the 93% in the Berkeley study that felt gratitude was important, only 10% reported that they regularly express gratitude at work. If gratitude were a muscle, for most people, it would be seriously out of shape. Build your gratitude muscle with these 7 daily challenges. Get a pencil and pen to write this down. Number 1, make an effort to notice when someone is helpful or kind, and be specific about what made a difference to you. Perhaps someone listened carefully to your needs, guided you to a better decision, trained you in a new skill, or was flexible with their time. Number 2, be an advocate for the people you appreciate. Spontaneously highlight to a manager why you are grateful for them and how they make a difference to you. Number 3, recognize the little things. Gratitude shouldn't be reserved for heroic acts. Did someone bring your printing from the printer, take a message whilst you were out, swap a shift, or fetch you lunch? You might be surprised how many small acts of kindness have gone unnoticed once you take a closer look. Number 4, for every negative observation or complaint, make a conscious effort to find 5 or 6 positive ones. High-performing teams recognize positives 5.6 times more frequently than negatives, and having some positives in the bank makes the negatives easier to raise when necessary. Number 5, if you're having difficulty being grateful, reserve 5 minutes at the end of the day to reflect on what you were grateful for that day, and keep a journal to follow up on these. As a bonus, keeping a journal will amplify the positive effects of gratitude for you. Number 6, distinguish between issues and intentions. When good intentions backfire and things just don't go according to plan, be sure to show gratitude for the good intent. Remember, someone resolving an issue may not have caused it and may not be able to fully compensate for it, no matter how hard they try. And number 7, when someone thanks you for what you did, be appreciative in return. Let them know that their effort and their courage to act didn't go unnoticed or didn't get taken for granted. It's still pretty hard to become good at noticing, so here are a few suggestions to prompt you to discover opportunities for gratitude. Did you collaborate with someone? How did they contribute? How did that help you? Did someone save you from a mistake? What consequences did you avoid? How did it make you feel? Did you learn something? Who taught you and how? What did you gain from it? Did you resolve a problem? Who helped and how? What was the impact of resolving that problem for you? Did you have a good meeting? What made it good? What should be repeated to make the next one good too? Did you share something? Knowledge, transport, space, food, thoughts, concerns? Who with? And what was better about it through sharing? Did you enjoy flexibility? Who offered it? What did it enable you to accomplish? Did you get good service? What was special? Who made it special? Did someone back you up? How did it help? How did you feel? My suggestion is you make your own list of prompts and use it to support your challenge to recognize the little things. Some people also carry a small stone or a similar token in their pocket to prompt them to notice good things around them whenever they see that stone or feel it in their pocket. Similar prompts might cause you to get into a gratitude habit more quickly. By now, you should be getting into the swing of noticing, and that's good. Without attending to what you notice, though, is still not good enough. What stops us from attending? It's fear. Fear that our gratitude may be misinterpreted. Fear that we may express it badly. Fear that it might be unwanted. Fear that it might not be enough. So much that we do fear, and yet so little that we should fear. We already covered that people most of all want to be appreciated. You're giving them what they want, so strike that fear off the list. Anything is better than nothing, so strike inadequate off the list too. And by doing this at all, you're most likely putting yourself in the top 10% of people around you in the workplace, so give yourself a big pat on the back for that. Then start simple and gain confidence with practice. If you're worried about face-to-face gratitude, work your way up to it. Start by writing a note. It could be a full-blown letter, or it could be a post-it note. Either will be treasured. If you're worried about your articulation, practice with tiny things that are easy to say, and work up to the big gift of gratitude you're aiming for. If you're worried about status or rank, start your gratitude with "I hope you don't mind. I noticed XYZ, and I'm grateful for that because." No one ever minds, because senior people are starved of gratitude too. Like any form of exercise, the more you exercise gratitude, the better you'll get at it, providing that you keep stretching yourself. We've so far focused on being grateful for positive things that come our way, and that's where we should all begin. However, it might just seem that there's nothing to be grateful for, and all we see is challenges and hardships. Remember, there's no good excuse for not being grateful, and to reach mastery, we ultimately need to become grateful for our challenges and hardships too. We do this by thinking about the lessons we learn from each experience, whether it's good or bad. What have these experiences taught us that we shouldn't repeat? What emotions have we found inside of us that we didn't know were there? Who are the positive influences in our lives, and whose influence is unhelpful for our future? What clutter has left our lives so our next chapter is a clearer path to our ultimate happiness. We must also be grateful for our natural talents and strengths, and what makes us unique as individuals and inherently strong. If this sounds like the lowest priority for you right now, consider the possible results. Besides the mental health benefits we already touched upon, science shows us the physical benefits of consistent gratitude too. Keeping a gratitude diary for 2 weeks produced sustained reductions in perceived stress of 28%. Gratitude is related to 23% lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. Grateful people have 16% lower diastolic blood pressure and 10% lower systolic blood pressure compared to those less grateful. Dietary fat intake is reduced by as much as 25% when people are keeping a gratitude journal. A daily gratitude practice can decelerate the effects of neurodegeneration, as measured by a 9% increase in verbal fluency that occurs with increased aging. Writing a letter of gratitude reduced feelings of hopelessness in 88% of suicidal inpatients and increased levels of optimism in 94% of them. Grateful people have between 9 to 13% lower levels of hemoglobin A1C. That plays a significant role in the diagnosis of diabetes. And gratitude is related to a 10% improvement in sleep quality in patients with chronic pain, 76% of whom had insomnia. Each one of these statistics came from medical studies in a controlled environment. And so the proof is there that gratitude is both positive for your mental well-being and your physical well-being. But if you're still not convinced, I'll throw in a business benefit too. A grateful signature is more likely to get you an email response than any other kind. According to a study of 350,000 emails, a sign-off that says thanks in advance was the most effective sign-off of all, with a response rate of 65.7% compared to an average response rate for all emails of 47.5%. That's an 18% increase in the likelihood that someone will get back to you as you planned. Thank you once again for joining this session. I'm grateful that you stayed, and I hope that you learned something from our time together. Now it's time to start your gratitude habit. I will be grateful for your candid feedback, which you can give me in chat or via my feedback link www.paycompliment.com/XECR1R. Have a great day, and remember, be grateful for all that this day brings. Goodbye.